After rushing for 4,000 yards in his senior season, Derrick James would tow offers from nearly every Division I school in the country. Standing at 6'3", every college scout knew he would be a star at the next level, and he would later go on to prove that at Texas his freshman and sophomore season. But things wouldn't turn out like we wanted to, as we had over 4 losses in both of our first 2 seasons, and we even missed out on opportunities to win the Heisman while always playing behind. Derrick loved playing at Texas, but to help his chances of taking that next step and even making a push for the first round in the upcoming NFL draft, he felt like he needed to hit the transfer portal to up his game. His initial decision for Texas came from wanting to play with elite quarterbacks like Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, and that would also help his next decision, as Derrick would decide to go play for USC and team up with Caleb Williams for this upcoming season. Coming in as the 14th ranked team and playing Hawaii, we thought we had an easy matchup ahead, but no. Derrick James would struggle all game long in his debut at USC. It wouldn't be until the third quarter where our offense saw a little success and could finally put some points on the board after settling for a field goal. With Hawaii responding back and taking a 7-point lead once again, Derrick James would go on to have his best drive yet in the game, responding back with 2 of his biggest runs in back-to-back plays. After putting together a great drive, we found ourselves getting into the red zone after a quarterback pitch, and then our backup running back Austin Jones would come in and score a touchdown to tie this game on up. Our defense would give us another chance to go ahead and win this game, and this is where Caleb Williams would absolutely take over, having back-to-back big throws to get us in enemy territory already. Our coach would remove us on this drive and let Austin Jones close out the game, but after failing to reach the first down, we would settle for a field goal, which would be enough for our team to hold on and get our first win of the season. Derrick had his worst game ever on the collegiate level, getting held to only 54 yards on the ground, but would look to rebound in his next start versus the Washington State Cougars. Struggling from the get-go in this matchup as well, Derrick would have to find other ways in this game to get involved, and he would do so by opening up in the passing game, making some good catches on the opening drive. Keeping this drive in the air, we would freestyle on this play and find a wide open seam in the back of the end zone and have our first touchdown ever as a USC Trojan. With Caleb Williams putting together a great 2-minute drill, we would get all the way inside the red zone after a big catch, and Caleb Williams would take over once again, keeping the read option and going all the way in for a last-second touchdown. But even with the struggles continuing into the third quarter on the ground, we had to turn into a 250-pound scat back, catching the ball in the backfield and running over defenders, and this is how we're going to have to get activated in this game. We would finally put together a good run, getting over 15 yards on this play, and this would later open it up for Caleb Williams, who would make a dot down the sideline and then later throw a touchdown on the next play, and we are looking like we are starting to pull away here. And on the next drive in the red zone, we would get 3 straight touches, but we were not able to do anything with it, still lacking our first rushing touchdown. This is not looking good for Derrick James. That field goal at the end of that drive would be enough for us to win our second game of the season, but another pathetic performance on the ground with only 58 yards. Derrick James knows he has to be better than this. Determined to be much better this season, Derrick would put in extra work this week in practice to touch up on some things, as we have a huge week ahead of us, taking on our best opponent yet in Notre Dame. On the first play of this game, we would get a counter call our way, and we would juke out the safety and take it all the way to the end zone. And on this play alone, we have more yards than we did in the first 2 games, almost combined. Seems like Derrick shines in the biggest moments, taking on one of the toughest teams in the nation. We would end up having our best game yet. Every single time we touched the ball this game, it was going for 10+ yards. Now, after scoring our second touchdown of the game on this play right here, our next drive would also be successful, as we would start off with a catch over the middle and take it for over 30 yards. We almost were able to pry this jet sweep open for a touchdown, but we barely missed the block on the outside shoulder, but that wouldn't matter because Caleb Williams would score on the very next play. Notre Dame was starting to make a run on us, and in a fourth quarter with only an 8-point lead, we need to put some more points on the board or at least chew a lot of this clock on out, and Derrick James is going to have a huge attempt on this screenplay. But on the very next play, Caleb Williams would run a triple read option and pitch it back to us while we were already tackled on the floor, and we had a huge turnover, and they gave them great field position with only 3 minutes remaining. But with Notre Dame's offense scoring a touchdown and missing out on the 2-point conversion, a first down would win us the game right here, and that's exactly what Derrick James would do. And he also would get his first player of the game at USC with over 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now with a solid game under his belt, Derrick would have another huge matchup and an opportunity to shine as we take on our highest ranked opponent yet, the number 12 ranked Utes. It felt like those first 2 games that we had of the season struggling definitely woke up Derrick James, as now he has turned into a different animal and he is dominating in the run game. This is another one of those chances where Derrick could prove that he is not only a big power back but also a good receiving back, and while he punches in his first touchdown of this game. Derrick James would take the first carry of the second drive as well, and this time it would pry open for a wide open touchdown, and no one is even near him. And now that this USC offense has a great running game alongside Caleb Williams, they truly could not be stopped. Derrick would even go off on the third drive of this game as well. With a 14-0 lead, we needed just to score another touchdown and make it a 3-possession game, and Derrick James would do so, scoring now his third touchdown of the game, and that would later lead to a blowout against the Utah Utes, and we would end up having 223 yards on the ground and 4 total touchdowns. And even after the slow start in the season, Derrick James still found himself in the Heisman watch and hopes to win the award finally this season. But in our next game, we're trailing by 1 point with 40 seconds remaining. We need to go ahead and kick a field goal or score a last-second touchdown, and Caleb Williams is connecting with everybody on this drive to hopefully put this game in the dirt. We ended up being Caleb Williams' safety valve all drive long in this money drive, and Derrick James not only would catch that pass, but would catch the game-winning pass with 3 seconds remaining. After solidifying another W under our belt, we would fast forward to the end of the season where our last game of the year, we are still undefeated. We need to win this one against our rival UCLA if we want to make any chance towards the college football championship. After getting bottled up on the first couple of plays, a 3rd and 6, our coach would call a halfback draw, and we almost were able to break it all the way for a touchdown, and Derrick James is already hyped up in this matchup here. Our coach would go back to the halfback draw, and that would probably open another big run for another first down, and we almost went for a hurdle, which would make our coach pull us from the game and later lead to our backup running back Austin Jones scoring. With our offense being so dominant this year, our defense started to step up as well, and we truly felt like we were the best team in the nation, and Derrick James actually made the wrong read on this play going on the inside. He probably had a touchdown if he would have cut outside. Not only on the ground this game, but Derrick James was going off in the air as we almost go all the way for a touchdown, but we get our shoelaces tackled, and Caleb Williams would scramble for a touchdown, and Derrick James was actually super hyped for his teammate, as you could see him celebrating after the play here. This would be Caleb Williams' best game of his season yet, as he would throwing dots all over the field and connecting on big plays just like this one, and this would later lead to a big play by Derrick James, juking to the outside, making defenders miss, and also running defenders over at the goal line for his 2nd touchdown of the game. This would be the game of big plays, as Derrick James would have his best play of his collegiate career right here, breaking not 1 tackle, not 2, not 3, but 4 tackles on this play as he heads all the way to the end zone for another big touchdown, and we lead 28-3 going into half. Our coach told us if we scored another touchdown here in the 3rd quarter to take a 35-3 lead, that he would pull all the starters in this game, and that's exactly what Derrick James would do. Kicking the ball to the outside, he would have another touchdown, and we would go out to blow out UCLA, and that was the hopeful to pry us into the top 2 seed to make the college football championship. USC would finish the season at 12-0 and would go on to make the Pac-12 championship, where they would completely destroy Oregon State, and now they have a chance at winning the college football championship. Derrick James would also finish with nearly 1,400 yards on the ground and 17 total touchdowns on the ground as well, but he would later be snubbed for a Heisman, losing it to Jahmyr Gibbs. With all that behind us, USC and Derrick James would be taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes in the national championship, where Derrick James wants to leave a last imprint in his college career. But just like every other game of the season, it felt like no one in the world could stop this offense, as we have the best quarterback in the nation and arguably the best running back in the country. On a read option play, Caleb Williams would pitch it at us again, and we would actually fumble the ball, but Derrick James with insane hustle would go back to pick up the ball, and then on the next play, Derrick would take it all the way to the outside, juke out some defenders, and even break a defensive end's tackle and take it all the way for another breakaway touchdown, alongside some Caleb Williams blocks at the end of the play here as well. With every NFL scout watching this game, Derrick James would go on to have one of his best performances yet, as he breaks away for another large touchdown down the sideline, and we are just building upon this lead, and Derrick feels like he is definitely a 1st-round pick. Caleb Williams started to have a great game as well, as he would throw a ball down the seam, and we were already in Ohio State's territory, and then we would end up finishing the drive off with a pass to Jordan Addison to score another touchdown, and we are now blowing out this team. That would be enough for us to win the game, as Ohio State wouldn't even score more than 15 points in this matchup, and Derrick James would even win player of the game in the college football championship match. After leaving Texas from a depressing situation and moving over to a perfect season at USC and winning the player of the game in the college football championship, Derrick James was proud and ready for the NFL draft. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that like button to follow the rest of the series.